Okay, welcome gamers to a start of a new Let's Play series. We're going to be playing DEITY Empires, and the reason for it actually is we've got a new beta version. So if you do actually have the game, haven't played it for a little while, you may want to have another look at it because this beta version has got a lot of great things in it. It did come out in February, so a fair few months ago, and I thought I'd played it since, but I actually obviously haven't because it really has. I've been super impressed with the changes that are actually inside it. So we're playing with version 2.0.3, which, as I say, you do have to opt into the beta to actually then go and play that one. Also, before we get started, I thought I'd actually just sort of, you can see on the side there on the screen, I'm just sort of highlighting that I do actually have a new merchandising shop where I've just got a few items at time of recording. I will actually add more in over the coming months. So I'll just sort of drip feed things in a little bit, just so I can sort of then talk a little bit about what's actually in there. At this stage, I've just got the Flaming Jester icon, which I've sort of got there for hoodies, t-shirts and mugs, and you can see it's there if you just go to shop.daztactic.com, and I've got a 15% off special if you use the code of DazLaunch 2022 with hyphens in between the different words. So DazLaunch 2022. So September 2022 is the year that we're actually looking at this. If you're looking at it in the future, actually, I will try to have different specials at different times. So yeah, maybe have a bit of a look to see if there's a current special going on. You know, maybe even on the Discord server. Have a look at the links actually in the description as well. If you are sort of wanting to help support the channel, then I'm trying to sort of find ways that at least you're not just giving me cash, you know, that you're getting something back in return. So I thought merch was a good way to do that. I've also got a coffee.com, that's ko-fi.com/DazTactic as well, where I've got like different illustrations and things. When I do mods, I'm going to start putting the mods in there as well. They'll be freely available, so you can just put like a zero amount in there. But if you do want to shout me a coffee, then that'd be fantastic. And also I've got the Nexus Game Store as well. Like, so I've got a game store link in there as well if you're looking to purchase different games. You essentially just get a Steam key and away you go. I haven't had anyone have any problems with those games, so you know, don't feel as if it's sort of a bit bodgy or anything like that. It actually really is way above board, and as I say, I haven't had an issue with anything yet from any of the sales through that particular store. Okay, let's get going. So we're just going to be starting a new game. No, by the way, before we get started, mods. What mods are we looking at? So what we actually have through here, we're going to be using 4 different mods. Now, one of them does change the game fairly dramatically. This is Mr. Him's DE Reforged version 2.01. So this is for the newest version of the game, and I haven't played much with this, but it adds a lot of different units. It's sort of like a compilation of a whole lot of different sorts of mods, and also got the like high-res units, which is a graphics mod, a new land, which is a graphics mod, and icons and effects, which is a graphics mod as well. So I've just got like a number of graphics mods in there, plus Mr. Him's DEITY Empires Reforged in there as well. Now, there is another change that I have made. I might even divert off this one and just show you what's going on with that, just so that if you are wanting to make the change, you can make this change itself. And this is to help leveling up. Now, a shout out to a couple of my viewers actually. Shadow is somebody who actually has given me a mod that I did actually take away from here because I didn't want to confuse the issue. But that's he just made a mod that's not actually freely available, unfortunately, but it's one where everything levels up at level 3. But there's a different way of handling that, and I've sort of actually Tenru is another viewer, and this morning at time of recording we were playing some DEITY Empires over on Twitch, and he actually then had found a link to a way to change the way that units level up, and I'll show you how to change that for your own system if you're worried about how slowly items or units actually do level up in the game, which if they do level up way too slow. There does need to. I wish it was more exposed than where it actually is. I'll show you the steps to get that one working. Okay, probably the easiest way to find it is just to go to your library in Steam. So open up Steam, go to your library, make sure you're logged in, of course. Go to the library, and then you'll just find DEITY Empires on the side. I've got it running, but you can't make this change while it's running, but I'll just show you where it actually is. So right-click on the actual name on the left-hand side of your library. Just go down to Manage, and then just Browse Local Files. Okay. That will then open up straight into the actual Steam apps common Deity Empires. That's sort of where it will end up going. That's the easiest way to find it. And you'll find in this first directory. By the way, the My Workshop area is where you can sort of where if you do actually have local mods, that's where you do place those, but that's not what we're going to be looking at. You go down to game settings.txt and just go to any text editor. I'll just open it up in Sublime Text, which is a text editor, and then we can sort of have a bit of a look at it. Now, it's a fair way down the page, and what we're looking for is just the start of something that starts with XP. This is a way that you can then go and change the settings in your game. Now, it says deleting this file will cause all options to reset to default, and you cannot reliably edit this game while the game is running. Close the game before editing. There we go. So we've got it open while we're actually editing, but we're not going to actually edit anything. Now, you can see there, if you screw things up, just delete the file, and it'll then just rebuild itself. So don't worry too much about that one. We're just going to scroll down. We're looking for XP on the left-hand side here. These in through here. So XP coef, and we've got like XP coef 3, 2, 1, and 0. Now the way that this one works, it was, and actually I did actually have some comments in there because I don't think there's any others. No, that's okay. We'll just go back up to where they actually are. So these 3 lines in through here, those 4 lines in through there affect the way that units level up. Now by default, it's actually set to 2, -5, and then 12 and 0. And there is one of the modders actually, Mr. Hims, I think his name is, actually had suggested that this gives a pretty good level up ratio. And so what it does is it's sort of got like a bit of a convoluted formula where essentially you've got whatever the level of the unit is, it then is, it's got an exponent of whatever this first coefficient is. So it's sort of like, I think it's something like 2 times... No, it's whatever this number is. Oh, God, I forget how it actually works now. I think it's something like, it's, I'll just do this A times the, and so it would end up being the level, I'll just write this one in here so you can sort of get a bit of an understanding, to the power of 3, I think it is. And then it's then plus, or actually will it end up being sort of minus in this sort of instance, but it's be plus. I'll just put the plus in there so you can sort of get a bit of an understanding. B, which is sort of like this one here, we'll say, this underscore 2, times level to the power of 2. So that's then squared, plus, this is convoluted, but so don't worry too much about this one, plus C, which, and I don't know where this last one, where D would come into it, but that's essentially the formula. So the level up formula is, so XP is equal to that sort of formula, where A is this first coefficient, B is the second coefficient. So by default, the game has got like a 2 in there, 2 times whatever level that the character is to the power of 3, plus, in fact, it would, in this case, it would be sort of like minus, the next one is usually by default 5, so minus 5 times level to the power of 2, and plus the 12. So you've always got like a starting point of 12. And so the base game, it does have like, it gets away from itself very, very quickly because of mainly this first coefficient. It sort of does become fairly strong. And so the modder, Mr. Hims, has actually then found that this gives a fairly good progression system through the game, and I think it will actually work very, very well. So anyway, just change whatever the number in here would be 2 minus 5. Just change that to 0.6 minus 2 if you want to play the same level ups that I'm going to be playing in through here. Hope that all makes sense. I'm not going to save that, but that's just a bit of an explanation as to what's actually going on. So I don't know whether you like me doing those sort of long, convoluted explanations or not, but bad luck, you've got it there now. Yeah, now that setup is not part of Mr. Hims' DE Reforged mod. It is something separate. It's in the game settings, which are more global than what can be put into a mod. So you can't actually mod that. You do have to physically go in and change that if you do want it to change. Anyway, there you go. You've got the information now. And so, thanks you to Tenru for giving me the link this morning, because it worked out very, very helpful. So, right, let's get back into it. We'll just press escape, or we'll just get back in from there. And I will now turn off this merchandising sidebar. But yes, go in, guys. Grab some merch. It's I've actually got I've got some arriving this afternoon as well. I've actually got the t-shirt arrived early, and it looks really, really cool. I really do like the look of it, and I've got the other two products, I think, arriving this afternoon. And that's from America to Australia in just a handful of days, which I'm really, really impressed with, because quite often that takes such a long time to arrive here. Like usually it takes about a month, and it came within a week. The t-shirt did, and the other products are going to be, actually would be just slightly over a week here in Australia, and that's really, really good going. I think they've got dispatch centres in the USA and in Europe. So if you're in, if you're in the rest of the world, you're probably going to get it a lot faster than you will here in Australia. Anyway, guys, let's get back into it. I'm just going to get rid of the merchandising sidebar. I don't know if I'll keep my head on this or not. I'll leave it there for a little while. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Is it a negative or a positive? Anyway, let's just get into it. Start a new game. I want to play this one as, I'm not going to go into too much details with everything, but we're going to be playing as Rexager. Now, the graphics will look different because I'm using the high-res mods, the high-res units. And so in this case, I've got Rexager, who is a good player. I'm going to be playing as the Mountain Dwarfs. I'm going to have him as a battlecaster and rich, and we're going to go with 3 holy books so I can get healing, and 4 fire books so we can get some sort of offensive firepower in with what he's actually going to be doing. We're going to be playing with heaps and heaps of different sorts of units in through here. Now that's all gone random down through the middle there. I've gone with neutrals and evils mainly. I'm happy enough with that, just keeping them all sort of where they are. So that will be fine. Everything else is looking good. I've got the 3 city tile range, which is 1 more than what it usually is. Yeah, it would be cool if those coefficients were actually part of this game options. I would really like that. I'm playing on very hard, by the way, which is very hard. So we'll see how we go. So we'll just move forward. Now I'm playing also on a world that's going to be 140 wide by 100 high. It may not be enough. Let's just bolster it up a little bit. Say maybe 160 wide by 120, maybe that might be, or 110. Let's just see how that one goes. I can click to preview the map. Few different islands. There's a few different hills. We'll start in one of these sort of hills or mountainous areas. Just click a few more times. That's actually got a lot of hills and mountains. The hills and mountains are good for me, so I might as well choose something that I like. I like the idea of having some of the islands where we'd have to sort of go a bit further out. Would be part of the big, I think wherever we end up being, we're going to be part of a massive landmass. Let's just go with this one for now. I'm probably going to have to restart a few times, and I'll show you why when I get into the actual game. So what I'm looking for is, oh wow, I really do like these graphics. I really like those graphics. Wow, okay, I love it, I love it. Gee, why didn't I play with this mod before? Now, when are we going to start? Like, the Mountain Dwarves are great in the hills. Everyone else is bad in the hills, and so for us, it is good to be in the hills. But there's a few things that I would like to have. These extra items in through here give us, like this is beer. It's going to give us. It's got descent reduction with the beer is 4, so we can actually have 4 descent essentially that it can then cater for. Plus, we end up with an extra happiness in there as well. That's not that thing we have to really worry about. There's a few different things in here, like this one here has got olives where you get 8 trading goods, which is not a hell of a lot. And then down through here we've got some animal skins, and if we have trappers' tents in through there, we get some trade goods, some extra production, and natural resources as well, so a bit of a bonus. But this is not what I really want. I'm going to be a bit fussy about my start. Now, to start again, I'm just going to press escape. I'm just going to start a new game. These will be remembered. Everything that I've got sort of selected in through here, that will be remembered as well. Just go across. Let's have a quick look. Wouldn't mind just getting something with a few islands. Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. All right, so now this is starting to get there. When you've got a river that runs through the hills, playing as the dwarf, it's actually very, very good. I'm just going to go move this across, but I still want to have some extra resources. But this is worth its weight in gold, having a river that runs really, really close to your city. In fact, you could even build on the river, and that would actually work out fairly nicely. But it's still not good enough. I do want to have a few special items in my home city. But this is actually not bad playing as the dwarves. The reason for that, if I right-click on this one here, you can see that we've got, like, just in basic food alone, because of the river bonus, we end up with 812. Now, in hills, the dwarves also get plus another 600. So that really does make it quite a substantial amount, ultimately, of food that you can get through rivers without doing anything to it, just rivers through hills. Once you start adding things to that as well, like you can put a mine there and still get the same food. So there's a lot of things you can do playing as a dwarves if you've got rivers going through your hills. So I definitely want to wait for that. I'll just do escape, we'll just start a new game again. Across, yeah, that'll do. Over we go. Another river. We've got this, in this case, we've got some silver. That's only 5 trade goods. We do actually have some mana back out through that side. I think what I'll do is I'll just keep on going a few times, and maybe I'll just unpause when there's something to show you. But quite often, to get the start that you want, it may take quite a few different goes at it to actually then find a start that is suitable for you. Actually, I'm inclined to go here. I didn't actually do that many more. Massive river system running through the middle of where we are. We've got 2 iron, and what iron does is if we build a mine there, we get a natural resources boost of 0.6. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but over time that will then add up. So we'll end up with a lot of mining at that particular location. Now, we also then have some nuts where if we build a trading post, we end up with extra food plus trade goods back in through there as well. Back over through here, we've got some herbs where we end up with more trade goods with the trading post. So the food is really what we want to be focusing on first. Now, the thing we actually have, this river system is really, really cool. And to actually be able to build on a river system in the hills for the dwarves is just enormous. So I'm just going to go and turn off everyone, grab the city, and I know that I'm free to build. I can move a little bit without having to worry too much about not being able to build. In fact, we can sort of see where we can build. If I press F5, that's then just showing the city radiuses. The next one across is showing the city spheres, and then the next one is actually where we can build. Now, this is sort of taking into account monster lairs on the outside, so we can sort of see that there must be monster lairs just outside our visual range. But I can move to there freely and actually build a city there. So, and that's really where I want to be going. So I'll just press F5 again, which will then bring me back to the normal mode. It wouldn't have made much sense there, but just doing that one. There's the monster lair that stopped us from going one more down. So we've got an acid beast in there at 338. Not too difficult. So if we did need to get rid of it, we could get rid of it. We're probably going to be wanting to remove the monsters from this area, but let's just go and build this particular city. God, I love these graphics. These are really, really cool. So we'll build a city in here. That will then, we'll still get 1, 2, 3. Because I've gone with a 3 radius, I can actually sort of get everything within that range. So we've certainly got like a little bit further out, and we've got a nice swathe of the actual hills themselves at this particular location. This will be a really nice growth location. Now, one thing importantly when you build a city, no matter which faction you play, you get by default 2 free workers. So by being able to build on this river in the hills, we do get like a massive boost to our food. So let's build a city in through here. We're going to call it Dasburg, of course. And we can then sort of have a bit of a look to see, what's actually in here. So at the moment, like we start off with just a civic centre, we're going to have to change this as well. And so when we right-click on this and have a bit of a look, you can see there that the food we're getting from this is 3,000, which is a great start, particularly like for the dwarves. And so we're getting like 1,500 per city worker, and by default we start off with 2 workers. Plus we're in the hills, so we get an extra 2 natural resources as well. And that's because, like, I think everyone would get that because I think that's just basic. Yeah, there's the dwarven bonus there of 600, as I said there, for the food. The river bonus as well, the percentage bonus. So you add all those things together, add the percentage bonus, and we end up with 1,575 food per worker, which in our city is worth 2. Now, eventually, when we get every 1,000 population, that's going to be 1 extra worker. We can move away from the city to work on other tiles. Now, they're going to be working on these river tiles for a long time. There's a lot of them, as you can sort of see, that are all in the hills. So this is still a hills area. We don't get the same Mountain Dwarf bonus in the flats. Like if I go to there, you can see we still get 1,500 per city per worker, but we're getting like the extras are coming through the base terrain. So the base terrain in grassland is 1,000. For us, we have a 400 plus a 600, so we still end up with 1,000. So for us, whether it be in the mountains or in the flats, it's the same deal. The benefit for us is we can actually build. We don't have to build farms or anything to really sort of expand that all that much. But it's for the dwarves. It's a really nice start. This one. We don't have anything special, like we don't have mithril or adamantine. I would have loved to have found some of that right from the start, but we didn't actually find that too easily. So let's now just go and figure out what we're going to be doing with our build tree. So we'll just move across. Actually, what I might do is I might remove my head now. There we go, just so it doesn't sort of stay in the way. Right, so here we are. This is their city hall. If I go with trade goods, all I'm going to be doing is making money out of our production. I should explain how production works. Actually, we'll do that one first. When you come into your city, there's 4 different pages that you've actually got in your city. And so when we have a look at it, at the moment we're producing trade goods. So every turn we essentially use our production and make trade goods out of our production. The gold income we have is 102, and the trade goods that we have by default is also 102. That's how we're getting things. So if we right click on trade goods, we can sort of see there that the city hall is giving us 2, and from the land work we're getting 2. So sorry, 100 plus the 2 gives us 102 trade goods. We're not doing anything with them, so our gold income is nothing as a base, and then the trade goods sold are 102. So our gold is basically our trade goods. So trade goods equals gold to a large degree, if you think of it in that sort of sense. Now our population in our city is 500. As I said, when we get to 1,000, we'll end up with a worker that will then leave the actual city itself and go and work on a tile. Now initially, the workers, and you can either manually place them somewhere if you really want something specifically, or you can actually just have them, let them do their own thing. And at the start, what they want is they want to really boost the population, and they do that with excess food. So actually, we're not showing anything else in through there. Food harvest is from land work. The city hall gives a bit of a bonus as well. So we get from the city, by having the city hall, we get 1,500 per turn, and from the land work we're getting another 3,150 per turn. So we've got 4,650 food coming in, which is actually really quite substantial at the start. And so that food harvest then sort of was going to be stored away, and I'll just show you where that actually is stored. You've got the stored food in through there of 10,000, and resources also, if we're not spending them, we'll end up accruing them as well. That's why we're going to need to have these iron mines. They will be used ultimately for us to build a massive store of resources. We don't have any adamantine or mithril or anything like this. So food is being stored at this point in time. On page 3, we can sort of see there's not really much going on with this one. I'll come back and explain what's going on with this one. You can actually export your extra food, etc., etc. So let's just go back out to page number 1 of 4 here. And so that's actually how we get our growth, is by having bonus food. The more food we have, the more surplus food we have, the higher the population growth will be over time, and you'll see that in the second turn, for example. Down through here, we have our natural resource harvest. So we're getting 10 from the city hall and 2 from the land that we are working underneath here, giving us 12. So if we have more workers, more population, we can then go out and get even more. So that's where that actually is. And the natural resource harvest is 12. So at the moment we're getting 12 resources, and we've only got capacity of 10 production. So the city hall is giving us 10. We're not getting any bonuses from anywhere else. So we need to boost the production up, but the production needs to spend natural resources. So ultimately, this is a limiting factor unless we can get a lot of resources. Now, we can get resources in different ways. We can build mines and get resources that way. If we had forests, we could build lumber camps to get resources, as long as we have workers to sit on them. And otherwise, we have to then go send armies out to raid different areas. It can be other players. It can be sort of going through and doing missions in dungeons or in outdoor lairs. We will pick up a fair amount of resources that way as well, but initially we want to boost our production. So the production is important. We're going to our tree down through here. Now the main building we want early in the game is we want to actually be boosting, hang on, I'll just exit out of this one here. At the moment we're only getting 10 mana. We're getting 10 and we're getting plus 10 per turn in the mana pool. mana is vitally important, and it's mainly important for building items, for building magical items, but also like if you've got different sort of summons out on the, like if you end up summoning different dragons or something like that, and you want those in the game, then they're going to cost you a bit of mana per turn as well. So just be aware that mana is not, it's not just used in battles, it's used in a lot of things, and you really want thousands upon thousands of mana ultimately by the time you get into the end game. And by the end game, I'm talking around about turn 300 or 400, for example. So it's a long, long way away. This is a slow boil, this particular game. So that's sort of where we are in through there. By the way, we've got our gold in through there. We're sort of spending a little bit more gold at the moment than what we're getting in. That will then change next turn because we've now got Dasburg. We've then got a meditation. Now, meditation is the amount of mana that we can then extract from the mana pool to use for anything to replenish anything we've actually had in the last turn. In this case, our battle mana is 45. We need to have more meditation than battle mana. So we've got 45 battle mana. We need to get this up fairly strongly as well. We'll talk about this in just a minute. And then we also then have, this is the world population, basically, we're nothing, which we'd expect at this point in time. So we've got that one there. I'm going to come back and talk about the spell casting with this in mind, but the upshot is we need mana. We need enough mana to be able to replace whatever we're doing with our meditation, particularly if we're into different battles. We need the meditation to replace the battle mana. So the meditation is, this mana replaces this one. It's in its most basic sort of form. So mana is important. I'm just going to right click on the right hand side of Dasburg to open up the screen. On the left hand side it goes to units, on the right hand side it goes to the actual city itself. And so our building tree, we want to be building this, but to build this one, you can see there's a little number 1 that's now gone next to it. The mana conduit is going to cost me 188. Now, you know that we've got 10 production because of the city hall. If I sort of hover over the city hall, you can see there production is 10. And natural resources is 10 as well. So that's basically all it can really build is per turn. Let's boost our production before we do that. So if I go in here, this one's going to boost it by another 10. And that way at least I'll have 20 production, as long as I can get the resources in to then cater for this one in through here. So what we'll do is we'll actually go and send, how should we do this one? If I control left click on this one, if you just have a look at the help file in through here, it will then go through what to do. So control left click to insert an item in front of the building queue. So let's go and insert this one. So control left click, that one becomes number 1, this one becomes number 2. So that's our current building queue. That's what we need to do at this early start. Builder's workshop, mana conduit. Now, if I wanted to sort of focus on military, I could go this way and get this blacksmith, which is also 10 production. So we essentially can go that way to then go and get like our stalwarts, our sort of like very high quality fighters, and we also have halberdiers. Now we'll be wanting to do this at some point, but we may not want this city to do that. The reason I went this way was because it opens up more of them down this side, the Masons Guild for another 10. Then we can get our city walls. We can also then go and get our Miners Guild back and through this side, which will then help with the mining when we start to get mines. And we're going to have a lot of mines in the hills, so this is an important step for us. It also then opens up the magical schools and down through here, the magic quarter of the city, which will then allow us to ultimately get like a lot of our explosives, mortars, what else have we got in there? We've got high explosives down that way. We've got like, and then cannons down this side. If we go this way, we end up going through the religious quarter, and so we've got like the worship halls, etc. And then we end up with our dwarven chapel, which allows us to then get our dwarven priests. So that's sort of where that one goes. So with this city, I'm more inclined to go in this direction, so that's why I chose this one instead of this one. So I hope that makes sense. That's sort of, I'm glad I'm remembering to explain these little things, because I could have gone that way and still had the same production ultimately for this one, but I don't think I'm going to be using the city to go and get these sorts of units. I think I'm going to have too many other things to be building over time, and that really does come down to our resources and our production. All right, let's close that one off, and so we now have our build queue set up. We'll exit the city screen in through here. By the way, the number of buildings you can have is also a factor of your population. You start off, for every 1,000 people that you have, you can build another city, another building. It's 7 plus population divided by 1,000. So for us at the moment, it would essentially be 7.5, and so it rounds down to 7. So we can get 7 buildings at the moment if we don't, even if the population doesn't increase, but the population will increase, and we have 1 defence tower at the moment at the size city that we actually have. And also we can actually build other defence towers if we wanted to, like again through the building queue. So there we are there. We'll just exit the city screen. I'm not going to worry about the city specializations. I'm just going to let the AI handle that for me. I can also interrupt this building queue and get warriors or engineers or settlers. So I can actually boost the settlement. We will get a settler at 7,500 in through here. Now we're playing on very hard, which means that we're going to be much, much slower at getting settlers than the AI will. They'll be pumping out settlers like nothing. So it's going to be difficult for us to expand. All right, now we've got ourselves 3 of the Mountain Dwarf warriors, plus we have an engineer in through here as well. Let's go and grab the engineer and think about where we want to place him. Now, it's probably okay actually even where he is, but what do we want to build here? Like, do we want to, for example, get extra food on top of the food that we've already got? And probably, actually, we do. So I think I might build a ranch at this location. Like, if we go across and tell him to build there, we've got different sorts of buildings that can actually sort of be built. The ones that will give us extra food are a farm, but the farm is not going to. It works better out in the grasslands. We've got a trapper's tent, which will give us a little bit of food. In fact, if I right-click on this one, so you can see it's probably, where is it? Actually, it's not going to tell us exactly what that one does. That one gives us a few trade goods as well. So quite often the AI will build trapper's tents, but we really want to be boosting our food. The ranch will give is a quick way to boost the food output of terrain. The ranch gives us a flat amount, whereas the farms give us a percentage amount, also based on the terrain. So farms aren't really going to be good for us, but ranches will. So let's go and build a ranch in here. In fact, if you're unsure what to do on a particular location, just control right click on it, which will then bring up the information about this. Go to engineering. And yeah, actually it is choosing to build a ranch. So the AI will then tell you what it would actually build here. And so it would say, yep, I'm going to build a ranch there. Sometimes it may be wanting to build a trading post or a trapper's tent. Actually, trapper's tent is what sometimes it would be wanting to build. But in this case, a ranch is just going to really, really boost the food. So we'll just go with that one. And so with that one selected, we will build ourselves a ranch. Back in through that side. So he's now underway. And if we then just go back and grab the others. Now, I could just go off and get rid of this acid beast. I'm sort of interested in seeing what's around me though, so I might just send the dwarves off in different directions just to sort of see what's around. There's a lone hill in through here, then a lot of forest. All right, that's not ideal. We'll just grab the next one and we'll head on down this side. So we get to move very, very well through the actual hills. There's some gold in that hill there. There's a mana area back in through this side as well. And this one here, I'll move this one over this side. And that way we just get a bit of a... I'm mainly interested in trying to keep to the hills, if I can. So we'll have a bit of a look and sort of see. We've got... that's an easy one. The overall strength, if it's sort of like under 500, that's actually fairly easy. That's easy. That's okay. We could possibly get there fairly soon. That's okay as well. That's not. That's a bit more difficult. This is an outdoor lair. By the way, any dungeon lair that we end up getting means that we've got like multiple levels. That's a dungeon lair there with 29 levels. There we go. 29 levels down. I'd be wanting to try to keep this one for later on. This one here is an outdoor lair. It's got like an Ether Knight plus Kryn Exalted, 2 Kryn Exalted. So that's some unusual characters in there. That's beyond us at this stage. And a Dune Warden as well looks to be a bit beyond us as well. So we've got a few problems in there, potential problems. 3 tigers would be a bit difficult. 1 skeleton's okay. That's okay. A bit hard. Wizards are hard, to be honest, so that will be difficult for us. We'll have to build up. God, there's a lot of different layers in through here. All right, well, I just wanted to have a bit of a look. So I think we'll still come back through and just start getting rid of some of the ones that we can actually affect. So we'll end our turn here. And turn 1, we've got no important messages. Let's finish this off with just continuing on with Dasburg and have a bit of a look to see what's actually happened in here. So the engineer, if I just control right click on this one, you can see that it's going to take 4 turns for him to build the ranch, and he's only had 1 turn doing this one at this stage, so it's under construction. So we're upgrading that one at this stage. We don't have any workers working there. If we just go back into Dasburg itself, we'll then just go back to page number 1. You can see that we're getting 164 population per turn, which is actually fairly substantial. And so this is building up, where we've got like 664. Food harvest is still the same as what it was there before, but we're nearly getting close to, like, it'll take a couple more turns and then we'll get over 1,000. I might just go until we get to the 1,000 so you can sort of see the difference of what actually does go on. The Builder's Workshop, we haven't done anything with that one just yet. That will start to kick in this next turn. So the first turn we sort of set everything up. We haven't actually got there just yet. So we'll just exit the city screen. Oh, by the way, sorry, if I just right click on that one again. And we've now got nearly 10,000 food. So we've almost got enough food there. The stored resources are building up, so we will make use of them fairly soon. They'll start to sort of make use of these. And so we'll just end our turn again. Actually, I won't do that. I'll move them all back again. And we'll move you back as well. And you back as well. End our turn. Have another look at Dasburg just to explain what's going on. We've got 14 resources. Remember that there's a 2 left over each time, so that we had 12, we've now got 14. We should be building though. Yeah, there's the 10 that was spent there. Yep, so it was 12. We've only got a capacity to spend 10. Now we did 10 of 10, so we've now got 10 of the 38 required for the Builder's Workshop. And we now actually, yeah, we're still getting plus 165 in this case. So another couple of turns, and then we'll be over the population number 1. Well, let's just exit the screen. Let's just move that one across. So we now have, actually I want that one as well. And then I'll just get all of them, select all of them that way, and just make sure that we go off to the Acid Beast. All right, end our turn. So food research, up next is logistics research. Dasburg is now at 20 of 38. Again, getting the 12. We're spending 10 per turn. I hope this is all making sense. We're getting a little bit more stored resources back in through here. Our food has now gone over, so we should end up now with a bit more gold. I think we'd be selling that, I would imagine. Stored food, stored resources. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's wasted a little bit there. The towers, the health of the tower is coming up, which is good. All right, we're at 990. One more turn, and we're going to sort of see that. I might just, rather than do this attack right now, I'll just move across into here, and then we'll just wait for the actual attacks. We'll end our turn in here. There's no, I don't have to rush to go in and do different fights. I'll spend the next episode just going through how fighting works. And so we'll sort of, and we'll just finish this one off with just talking about the city. So Dasburg has now gained 1 worker. So you get a message when that actually does happen. So if you click on that, we'll just take you to Dasburg, but I'll just right click so you can sort of see what's actually happened. So we're now over 1,147. We still haven't quite got this Builder's Workshop built just yet. And the natural resource harvest is now 13 because we've now got a worker somewhere else. Here's our worker over here. Now the worker has decided it doesn't, like, this isn't built yet. Now it can still work there, but it doesn't really matter. But it doesn't matter where it goes on any of these rivers. It's still going to be able to get the same amount of food. So it's going to be focusing on these sorts of areas where it's getting 1,562 food per worker in through there. And yep, that's all good. In fact, what I might do, actually, no, that's okay. I will actually let it go. I was just thinking whether I do this. I might actually just sit them where they are so we can go one more turn, which will then give us the Builder's Workshop, and you'll then get to sort of see what happens with production. So, the engineer and the workers unfortunately look the same. They use the same model, but the engineer is different to the workers. This one can be used to help with production around the place, but generally it's for building different sorts of things. Actually, we have now built the ranch with him. So if we control right click on this, we can then sort of see that we do actually have a level 1 ranch, and we now get 2,000 per city worker working in there, and so that really, they will go and work there automatically. So if I leave that alone, they'll just go straight there because we didn't tell them where to go. So the ranch has now been built, so that's actually a good one for us. And if we build a road, it allows, every road factor we have allows another worker at that spot. So 500 to build the road, we've got 1,800 left. We'll just do that one, we're down to 1,300. I'll just ignore these. I'll just press the space bar and leave them so we can just finish this episode off with something else. We've now finished the Builder's Workshop. Up next is now the Mana Conduit. And so if we have another look at Dasberg as an example, see how this one has now moved back. So now we do actually have another 2,000 coming in from here. And we should see that our population growth has now gone even higher. And so this is what we have to sort of try to keep going a little bit in here with the way that everything is sort of then working. The production is now 21 of 21, so we're going to start to get like a bit of a boost along. But it's 21 there. We've only got 13 natural resources coming in. It'd be great if we had a bit more. And so so getting natural resources will be a priority. Once we run out of our stored resources, we've got 21 left in there at the moment. Once we run out of those, that will then dwindle down to whatever our actual income of resources is. So we do want to go off now and start to find other resources to bring them back. That's going to be a limiting factor now for our production. So we don't have to go crazy with production buildings because the natural resources limit how quickly you can actually then go and build. Well, I hope that that's been helpful if you do actually have the game, just explaining how cities work. It doesn't matter which faction you play, those principles sort of apply across the board. But the Mana Conduit, no matter who you're playing as, this is vitally important that you go for that one there. So we'll exit the city screen. Actually, one thing we didn't cover was spellcasting. I should have been showing that. And at the moment, I'm just accruing mana. I'm not spending the mana by casting spells. So it doesn't, again, it won't really matter because I will be using the mana. But if I do have the ability to use it, I can actually then cast the spells turn after turn as well. Anyway, I'll do that in the next episode as well. So thanks for watching. I will catch you then.